Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Spooky season is here and we're drinking all the pumpkin spice lattes. If you're not drinking one, are you okay? Should we call someone? Because it is fall and it is the season to wear plaid on plaid on plaid and look like a walking chessboard, and no one's gonna judge you. It is not fall until you've worn plaid. So in the spirit of fall, I decided to thrift flip this men's shirt. I got it for $5. It's in a size XXL and I decided I needed another skirt to add to my collection. So this was the result and I love how adorable this is, and it is hoe enough and short enough to still express that I'm still a hoe, but I've just adapted to the changing seasons. So I really love this skirt. Jokes aside, I love the pocket. The tie detail really does bring an element of oomph to this skirt, and it's not your average boring plain Jane skirt. And hey, I know not everyone is about that whole life, so you can wear this with some stockings and it's going to be so cute, and I promise you this is super easy to make. Let me just show you how to do it so we can be cute together. So first things first, I'm going to get rid of the curved hem. All my thrifted shirts come with curved hems. I really don't like it, but it is what it is. So I got rid of the curved edge. If you want to maintain it, feel free to adapt the world to your liking and do that, because it is your world. You get one life, you do you. So the pocket was looking kind of sus and I decided to seam rip her off. Don't get rid of her. I decided to use mine later, but you can throw yours in the trash and forget about it like your ex if you feel the need to. So now I'm cutting from underneath the armpit from one side to the other side. I decided this was enough skirt length for me, but feel free to make it longer if you want a longer skirt, and shorter if you want to go shorter. I am not judging you. I think mine was about 17 inches long in case you need that measurement. So now I just opened up that bit up that we cut off and I'm going to serge the entire top edge. Serging just prevents fraying and makes sure your fabrics are not disrespecting you and your ancestors such that the afterlife is a headache. So just make sure you serge. If you don't have a serger, use your overlock stitch on your machine and you will be fine. This is especially important for woven fabrics that just tend to fray so much. So this is what my serged top edge looks like, and off camera I removed the top button and it's now time to make a casing for our elastic. So with my measuring tape I decided to make a casing that was about 1¼ inches wide. My elastic was an inch thick, so this was enough for her to feel free to be herself and stay comfortable, so she wasn't disrespecting me and my relationship and trying to be entangled with my husband. I don't need that. So I pinned all around the top edge, and this is why it's essential for you to know the thickness of your elastic, because you need it to be big enough for her to be comfortable but small enough to make sure she's nice and tight. Wow, that's what he said. So you will notice that some of my pins are slanted diagonally, horizontally, and some vertically. So I slanted some pins vertically to make sure I remember to leave a gap, and all the other pins are horizontal, and you're going to sew all along the horizontal pins. Just follow the pins and you'll be fine, and make sure to leave a gap on one side. I decided mine would be along the side seam, and this is to make sure you can insert your elastic later and she can move on to greener pastures. That is definitely not with you. So now I'm just sewing a straight stitch right along the bottom of that casing we've created, and I did this for literally 2 seconds, and once I was done I made sure to backstitch. Please don't forget to leave your gap. You will literally want to move to another country if you forget to do that. So here's my casing sewn down. She's beautiful, ready to walk down the aisle, and now I'm just measuring a piece of elastic that fits comfortably around my waist. I made sure this was tight enough to snatch me but not too tight that I couldn't breathe. And now it's time to thread her through the casing. I took 2 safety pins, attached 1 safety pin to one end, and with this end I'm going to attach it to my shirt just to ground her so that she remains humble and she knows you can literally toss her out any minute, so she needs to respect you. So with the other safety pin pinned to the other side, I'm going to guide the elastic through the casing, and you have to make sure she doesn't get twisted, she doesn't get caught up in business that will get her in trouble. You just make sure she follows the casing and she comes out the other side ready to be your friend, because you have no friends, and we all know that. So once the elastic came out the other end, the safety pin, I just pulled on it, got rid of the safety pin. Her job was done. She had now been promoted to a senior position, and then I pinned the other safety pin to both ends of the elastic. You're going to sew a zigzag stitch to join both ends together, and you're going to shove them into the gap and seal it forever. She can never talk to the police at this point because she's been shut up for life. So I'm going to sew a zigzag stitch back and forth on my elastic a few times. I think I did this twice, and this is to make sure the elastic is super secure in your relationship and she's not going to leave you for a hotter guy, which she's already thinking about anyway, but we're making sure she stays with us because she's trapped. So I also closed the gap because we need it to stay inside forever, not to talk to the police. And now we're going to make ties from the sleeves, and I used both sleeves for this process, but I'm only going to show you working on one sleeve because the process is exactly the same. So I cut out the sleeve, got rid of the cuff, and now I'm opening the sleeve along the seam, and this just opens her up, ready for all the endless possibilities we're about to turn her into. You could literally turn this into a road, and I promise it's going to be fine, but for now let's make ties. So I decided to get rid of the bulky cuff bit. I don't know if that's what you call it, but whatever. So you get rid of that bulky bit. We'll still get fabric from her later, and now I am going to trim off this into a rectangle. So I made sure the lines were straight, and because this is plaid and it has boxes and lines, I just cut along the lines, and this made cutting so much easier. So I'm just straightening things out on both sides. That way I have an even rectangular piece that we will use to form our ties later on. So now it's time to cut out rectangles, and I decided 4 boxes width was enough for my tie pieces. This was about 6 inches wide in case you need the measurement. So I repeated this twice, just made sure I was cutting out rectangles that were making me happy, and these were going to be formed together to make a whole tie. You will see it makes sense. I also made sure to straighten off the edge because I needed these to be beautiful together and they'd have no complaints in their relationship. So I got 6 pieces in total, and I did remove some pieces from the other sleeve as well. And now we're going to work on 3 pieces because 3 pieces make one tie. So I joined right side to right side. Just bear with me, I promise you it will make sense in a minute. So I joined the right sides together, pinned them in place, and I was going to join 3 pieces to make one piece, and it will all make sense in a second. So as you can see, this is one long piece. I repeated with the other 3 pieces, pinned them together, and now you're going to sew along the pins and join them together forever, and they're stuck with each other. They can fight it in court if they want to, but that's not my problem. So to officially join them together, I used a straight stitch. This is so simple, and once that was done along all the pins, I had 2 pieces, and now we're going to work on one piece. So I trimmed off the excess seam allowance, mostly because she will just make things bulky, and I don't need emotional baggage. I already have a lot to deal with on my own, so yeah. And then I flipped the piece right side up, and you're going to fold it in half so that the right side is on the inside, and we're basically going to pin all along 2 edges and leave one side open. So pin along the long edge and one side, and you will have a piece of an opening. I really hope this makes sense. So I repeated the process with the second piece, and I had 2 ties, and you're going to sew along the width and the long edge on both pieces, and this is going to seal them up, but you will have an opening on one side. So I did this off camera because it's super simple, and you can see we now have a piece that's sealed off on both sides and one side is open. So now it's time to work our magic on each of the ties. So I got rid of the excess seam allowance. Again, excess seam allowance, not necessary, not essential, and she's not moving with us into 2021. Yes, I'm already in the next year. Fight me on that. And once I'd gotten rid of all the excess seam allowance, you can see there's barely any seam allowance, and this is going to make sure we're not stressed when turning this the right way out. So to turn this the right way out, just shove it within itself, and I promise you it is super simple. Since this is pretty wide, we don't need any tools, just use your hands. That is again what he said. And I'm just going to push this within itself until the right side is completely out. Don't be scared, this is really easy. I don't even know why I'm telling you not to be scared. It is really easy. It is as simple as it looks. So this basically makes sure we have a tie that's beautiful and it looks very profesh. And if you're not new here, you know profesh is always a vibe. So I did use my pair of scissors to shove the corners out. That way they'd be nice and sharp, sharper than the knife that would strike down all my enemies. And once I'd done both ties, I ironed them down. And this is totally optional. I just felt that it gave the ties such a nice and clean look. And I enjoyed ironing them. This is the one thing I enjoyed ironing. Everything else I steam. So after ironing them flat, they're now ready to be sealed off. So I cut diagonally along the edge that's open. And you can see she is going to fray on you. So what I did to make sure she doesn't and that she respects the law, I tucked in that frayed edge. I shoved her deep inside into the abyss. She was never going to come out again, and that made me so happy. So I just pushed it in within itself, and then I pinned along the pushed in edge, and this is along the edge where I'll sew. So I'll basically do a top stitch to make sure I'm sealing everything up. So sewing along the pins, which is exactly what I did. I sewed over a paper towel because this prevents your fabric from getting sucked into the machine. Then it comes off easy. The paper towel doesn't stick to your fabric. So once both ends were sewn, your ties are now complete, and it's now time to attach them to your beautiful skirt. So I'm going to attach one edge of the tie along one side seam. So I am going to pin it along the side seam just to make sure it's nice and uniform and it looks like we know what we're doing, which we never do. And I did this for both ties. Obviously, it's cute if you have two ties. If you want to do one tie, then is it really a tie? It's more a thread, a hanging string. I don't know. But I did this along both side seams, and you're going to sew along the side seams to attach your ties to your skirt. Again, this is super simple. Just do your basic straight stitch, live your best life, block a few friends on Instagram and some haters, and once that's done, your tie is now securely attached to your skirt. She is not going anywhere without your permission. So now to tie the skirt, you can do this knot any way you like, but I am going to first attach a pocket. So this is super optional, but as we all know, as girls, things never come with pockets, and when I have a chance to add a pocket to something, I do that because society just thinks we have inbuilt pockets in our hands, which we don't. So please give us more pockets. So I took the pocket we seam ripped off earlier. I hope you didn't throw yours in the trash. And I'm just aligning her and pinning her in place. Just make sure the pattern matches, especially if you're using plaid. You don't want it to look off and fishy and people are like, you sewed that in your basement. You never want people to know that. So I'm going to sew along the pins to attach my pocket to my skirt. And again, this was super simple, not hectic at all. There was a lot of bunching up of fabric, but I dealt with it and I just sewed my straight stitch. I did do a continuous stitch. So I lifted the presser foot and turned the fabric when I got to a corner, and I'm just going to do my straight stitch, live my best life. I am blocking an X on Instagram as I do this. We love a multitasking queen, and this was such a simple process, and I hope you do add the pocket. It's super cute and super easy. So once the X's had been blocked and the pocket was sewn on, I was now ready to hem the bottom of my skirt. Because this was fraying a lot, I needed to double up the fabric and sew a straight stitch all around. You can also use your serger and fold it in once, but I like this method better. It does give me neater results. And all you do is you fold in the fabric twice, make sure all the frayed fabrics is inside your prison, and then you're going to sew a straight stitch all around. It's literally that simple and gives your skirt such a professional and neat look. We love it. So I'm making sure all the frayed fabrics are tucked in, sewing my straight stitch, living my best life, though 2020 is really making it hard to do that. And once the straight stitch was sewn, my skirt was beautifully hemmed, the pocket was beautifully attached, and it was now time to wear this skirt and sniff on my pumpkin spice candles. So to tie the knot, I am not a pro at this, so I just did a random knot, and I'm making her look presentable to you guys so that you like her and you think she's cute. I'm making sure she's putting her best foot forward, and once I was satisfied with the skirt, she is now ready to wear and ready to bring all the boys to the yard, though they will be wearing masks. So this is what the skirt looks like on. I love this skirt so much. I think it's super adorable, and I think it's so fall that it hurts in a good way, if that makes sense. And it has a pocket. I can put my phone in this. I can put my dignity, my self-esteem, my boyfriend meant to be. Who knows? They can all fit in this pocket, and I live for that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was such a fun DIY. It had a couple of steps to it, but I promise you it's super simple, and once you do it, you will be in love with your new skirt. You will not want to get a boyfriend because this skirt will fill the void in your life, and that is my guarantee, 100% money back if it doesn't do that for you. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll be trying to make this DIY. If you do try to make it, all the best. I promise you can do this in the dark with your eyes closed, crying, and this DIY will still turn out okay. Have a happy weekend and see you soon. Bye.